Okay, do I have sound now, or do I have feedback and echoes and horribleness, or do I have regular sound? I can't hear myself, so I'm relying on Ace and Heather. Good now. Okay. Why? Why did I have to click that button that I never click? Okay. Yeah. No, it makes no sense. Like, XSplit. Yeah. No, it's not. I mean, it's not you, Keiko. It was me. But actually, it wasn't me. It was XSplit, because it literally changed the functionality of something all on its own. Like, I didn't change anything on XSplit, and yet I had to click a button to have sound that I never had to click before. I can't even. So, hi everybody, happy Saturday night. We survived Saturday at the Beading Dreams. We survived. Heather survived a birthday party of a whole lot of very energetic children. We all survived a whole lot.
I've aged a decade since this morning.
Yeah, we all survived a whole lot of energetic music. There was definitely Spice Girls that happened at the Beading Dreams today. So yeah, it's weird to think that this is how Saturdays used to be all the time. And how did we survive them? Okay, so now that I have sound, welcome to the Saturday evening live tutorial stream. So happy to have all of you here. This is what we're doing today, simple stamped earrings. So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. You are going to need some sheet metal. I mean, that's fair, Keiko, and I really don't. Hi, Lori. I didn't have a problem with the Spice Girls music situation either, except that, loud. They just kept wanting it to be louder and louder and louder. It got to be a little much there at the end. But everyone survived, and they had a wonderful time.
And the problem is the speaker is in the wrong place for the front of the store.
I know. I need to fix that at some point. Not right now, obviously. But, okay.
No, go do it right now.
Well, I mean, I will if you'll teach this tutorial.
Oh, no.
Okay, then maybe I won't do it right now. Then. So, you're going to need some sheet metal. This is, right? Seriously. Yes, I am too old. But yeah, no, it was just less than optimal speaker positioning for the party, and anyway, I could go down a whole rabbit hole. But sheet metal. This is 24 gauge sheet brass. You could use brass, copper, bronze, sterling silver, gold filled. There's no heat involved in this tutorial at all, so any kind of sheet metal that you have is going to work. But 24 gauge is a good gauge, because it's going to harden up nicely when you hammer it. You can still cut it pretty easily with your shears, and it makes a nice earring that doesn't weigh too much. So you're going to need some sheet metal, and how much sheet metal you need just depends on how big you want to make your earrings. These are about 2 inches by 1/2 inch, so that means you need about 1 inch by 4 inches. But really, you can make these as big or small as you want. Yes, we're having a chilly day. Yes, Keiko, sheet metal gauge is the same as wire gauge. Wow. Yeah, we are not that much warmer than you. Though Diane said that like the East Coast is having record highs and we're having record lows. So, just in case anyone was curious as to whether or not the climate is screwed up, there's some more evidence for you. So yeah, I know I had to. Hello, Corvus. Oh, how it snowed today. And Corvus is in Mexico, where I'm guessing there is no snow. Just a guess. Yeah, it was sweater weather here today as well, and I definitely did put on my heater this morning and had a nice little toasty nap, which was great. So 24 gauge sheet metal. You're going to need something with which to cut your sheet metal. So I've got my Silvern. I've got my sheet metal shears. If you want to do this kind of semicircular layout like I did, I find a circle template to be invaluable, and you can see I've literally used my circle template so much that like the measurements have pretty much worn off of it. Luckily I really only need it for the circles. For this particular project I don't need the measurements. I like dividers. If I'm cutting a rectangular piece of wire, I'll show you, or sorry, piece of sheet metal, show you how those work in a minute. You are gonna also need design stamps, and I have an assortment of design stamps here. So I don't quite know what I'm going to use this evening, but something fun. So this is just my assortment of design stamps that I've collected over the years. You are going to need something upon which to stamp. So that's going to be my bench block. I need a stamp. Okay, I'm going to need 2 different kinds of hammers tonight. I need a hammer to hit my metal with and a hammer to hit my stamps with, and that's not the same hammer. So to hit my stamps with, I am going to use my brass dead blow hammer. If you don't have a giant brass hammer like this, household hammer will work just fine. And then for hitting my metal, I'm going to use my chasing hammer. And I'm going to need my basic wire wrapping tools, basically just for making my ear wires. So I'm going to need my chain nose pliers and my wire cutters and a round nose pliers. I'm also going to need a bail making pliers, both for my ear wires and my earrings. So bail making pliers, and you may want some steel wool, like some fine steel wool, triple or quadruple zero steel wool for the edges of your earrings. It just kind of depends on how good of a job you do with tapping down your edges. So I'm going to start with cutting my metal. So like I said, I am going to do about a 1/2 inch wide by about 2 inches long. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my dividers and I'm going to set them to a 1/2 inch wide, which mine are already set to that because this is the same set of dividers that I used when I was making my sample. And I'm just going to take my dividers and I'm going to find an edge on my metal and I'm going to run them down the edge of my metal like so, and that's going to make a line, and that's going to be my cut line. So I'm going to go ahead and then cut on that line. Ooh, what? And then I'm going to...
Your dad is posting libations.
Oh.
You could have it too. It's Irish whiskey.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm in another line, and I'm going to go ahead and... Where is he posting those? Discord?
Uh-huh.
Tell him he needs to come make drinks for the streamers.
I know.
It's not fair, him just posting drinks when we're working. Okay, so actually, this piece is probably long enough that I can go ahead and get both earrings out of it. I'll save that piece that I cut first for something else. And... oh, and now Corpus is talking about food. Dad's posting drinks. Like, seriously, y'all are just, you're killing us here.
Killing me, Smalls.
Okay, and my ruler's on the floor, so excuse me for just a moment. Okay. Okay, so 2 inches. Actually, I'm going to do 2.5 inches because you need a little bit of extra to do the curl over in the back. So 2.5 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to measure out my 2.5 inches and mark. And yeah, okay, so that's almost exactly in the center, so yay. And I'm just going to cut that. Wait, how did you accidentally wind up with lingua in your...
It was my own tongue.
Oh, huh.
I chomped it.
Well, there
it
you
feels
go.
like a golf ball in my mouth right now.
Oh, no.
It's so swole. I chomped it really hard.
Oh. That's no bueno. Okay, and then when you cut the metal, it's gonna get kind of twisty like this. So I'm gonna use yet another hammer, a mallet, and I'm gonna just tap this down flat. Because when you're stamping, if your metal's not flat, it's gonna be really hard to get a good pattern. So were you trying to eat lentil tacos with the accidental addition of human tongue?
Yeah. Well, bean tacos, yes.
Got it.
They were so good until the tongue part. And they were still good.
Just ouchie?
Just ouchie.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, well, yay for free dinner. That's exciting. Yes, Diane was kind enough to bring lunch for the entire store today because she's amazing. Because the birthday party was super kind and offered pizza and cake to the entire staff, which was great for everyone except for me, because lots of glutens. But they were really sweet. They were sweet, they were funny and fun and energetic and all of that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out where I'm going to put my stamps. And so I'm just going to use my circle template to do a couple of kind of concentric circle layouts. Like this. And I like to do, okay, and I'm actually, and this is something that I should have thought about, but I didn't, but you want to make sure that you've got a fairly large blank spot at the top, because that's where you're going to roll it over. So this is going to be one of my earrings, so I'm going to do my other one opposing, so I'm going to do the circles on this one the other way. And they don't need to match up exactly, unless you're, you know, really intensely about symmetry. Okay, so there's my layout.
Oh my gosh, Corvus.
I don't even want to know. I officially don't want to know what anyone is posting on Discord right now because I'm hungry and I'm grouchy. And I don't want to know what y'all are eating and drinking.
In the wild.
Aww. No, not a good hair day today. Like today, I made it to work. That is my.
We're so proud.
Like that was my goal. I made it to work in time to set up for the birthday party, and everything else just is what it is today.
Hey, my braid finally stopped dripping water. It's not dry.
Well, that's good.
But it's not dripping.
Okay, so now I'm going to decide what do I want to stamp on this. So one of my favorite things as far as just like kind of design accents is this. This is just a centering punch, but this is how I did all of the little dots that I used to kind of accent these, and so I think I'm definitely going to do that. But I've got to decide what am I going to do here and here. Then I want to do the same thing that I did on my sample because that would be boring. So let's see. Oh, the problem is that I have very little creativity left because it's been that day.
Boy, has it.
I know, right? Okay, so I'm going to do this cool kind of crown pattern. And oh, and I'm going to do this. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this big old flame pattern because I love this. This is actually from a really fun Impress Art set that's actually a mandala set. So it's a set of stamps that you can all put together to make a mandala. And so I think I'm going to use the big flame and Alright, I'm just gonna use the big flame and the little flame, because I apparently am, oh no, yeah, okay. Big flame and little flame, that's what I'm using, because that's where I am right now. Do we have any stamps that can mimic the moon phase? You know what, I don't, Keiko, but I highly recommend Impress Art stamps. They are great quality, and they're, not really that expensive, you know, unless you just go crazy bonkers and buy, you know, 50 of them. Ask me how I know. But I would be willing to bet you that they have a moon phase set. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would almost be willing to put money on it. So, Impress Art is the brand. Ignore, please, the schmutz that's on my stamp. But yeah, they have a whole lot of really cool stuff. Alright, have fun at Costco, Silvern. Don't buy the store out. Okay, so when stamping, you want to make sure that you hold your stamp flat against your metal. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're not tilting it to one side or to the other side. You can actually see typically in your metal the reflection of your stamp. That's going to help you line it up. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try and use this line as a baseline for my stamp, and I did this to help myself out a while ago. This is the center of my stamp, so I'm just going to put that on there, and then I'm going to take my big ol' heavy hammer and I'm going to give it a really good hit, and I'm going to move it over here a little bit so that I don't hit my camera while I do that. But I'm just going to give it a really good smack with my hammer. And that's going to give me my pattern. So generally speaking, the bigger the stamp is, the harder you're going to need to hit it to get a full impression. And sometimes you have to do what's called the tap and rock technique when you have really big stamps. And the way that works is you have to make sure to hold your stamp very, very steady in the same place. And what you'll do is you'll rock it a little bit to one side and hit it, and then rock it a little bit to the other side and hit it, and kind of do that in all four of your compass directions so that you can get a good impression of the whole stamp. This one's not quite that big. This one I can get a solid impression just hitting it really hard with my hammer, but with bigger ones you do need to do that tap and rock technique. I've got a really long one that was a gift that is Lily of the Valley, which is my favorite flower, that I need to do that with, otherwise it won't actually impress. Okay, so there is my first row of stamping, and I like to, I like it when my stamping kind of goes off the edge of my metal like that, and I get that kind of area texture. That's just a personal preference. If you don't like that, then you can just, you know, either change the dimension of your circle or use a different stamp that's not going to go off the metal. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my little flame stamp, and so now I'm going to be using my smaller circle as my baseline. And so once again, I'm going to give it a good hard whack with my hammer. So when I'm doing this, I'm just making sure to place my stamp with the base of my stamp on my baseline of my circle, and again, just make sure to hold your stamp firmly against your metal and just give it a good hard hit with your hammer, and that'll give you your design. so, alright, so that's all of my designs. Now I'm going to go back in with my centering punch, and I'm going to make the little dots. So I'm just going to tap that. So I'm just going to set it on my line. And tap it with my hammer. I knew I was going to hit my camera. I knew there's no way. Sorry, not sorry, Corvus. So I'm just tapping my little dots in there, and I need to take that off the camera because I should have lifted my camera before the stream, but I didn't. So it's Saturday night. That means that we are going to be doing a live merchandise sale after this tutorial, and I have 2 trays of 8-inch strands to get through, and so help me, I am going to do it tonight. I know I was not the most focused of individuals on Wednesday or Thursday, but tonight I am going to sell some stuff. Also, I broke our last strand of those beautiful blue topaz drops that you may or may not remember from some previous streams. So I have individual beautiful blue topaz, Swiss blue topaz drops that I'm also going to throw on the stream tonight because they are so pretty. So all I'm doing with my centering punch is I'm just making little dots to just kind of, you know, mimic this line, so you can actually see a little bit better on the back. So they're not actually holes, they're just little dents. No, broke the strand isn't selling individually, Keiko, because we had Susan Wilk, who's one of our awesome in-person clients and stream viewers, come in today, and she was like, well, if you ever decide to break that strand, I was like, okay, I'll break it for you right now. I've decided. I made the decision. So yes, I have them individually. They're so pretty. So those will be on stream tonight, plus more 8-inch strands, plus tiny shinies if you all want them. I know that tiny shinies are not always everybody's favorite, so let me know if you want tiny shinies tonight or you would prefer more medium-sized shinies, because I have plenty of all of those things, and I think I've had enough caffeine that I have also a decent amount of focus.
We've got the teeny tiny shinies.
We do have the teeny tiny shinies, it's true. Keiko always wants tiny shinies. Okay, so we got 1 vote for including tiny shinies tonight. And I promise, if anyone comes on the stream tonight asking for relationship advice, I will defer to a future stream. I will not fall into that trap again tonight. Really though, like, everybody out there, just, like, you know, give a right, redirect to Discord. Tiny shinies for Corvus. Okay, so we got 2 votes for tiny shinies. But seriously, everybody out there, just, like, you know, give a mental round of applause to the Beading Dream staff, because they absolutely freaking killed it today. I think they currently feel like they have been killed by today, but they really did an amazing job, and I am so lucky to have such awesome people working with me.
I feel the love.
Yay! Yeah, today was like a Saturday from the before times, which we are all really out of practice with the Saturdays from the before times. So yeah, it was definitely, it was a lot. Okay, so alright, so that's my completely stamped piece. So I'm gonna put a little bit of black into all of those depressions, and then I'm gonna get rid of my guidelines, but I'm gonna do the other earring first. So then I'm just gonna do exactly the same thing. Now remember, I'm doing these in opposition, so that means that this is the top on this one. I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm going to replicate as closely as possible my stamping pattern on my second earring. So every time I am treated to a day that is like the before times, I remember or I understand why I gained so much weight during the pandemic, because we used to just run around like Looney Tunes all day, every day. Like, and now my knees are like, what are you doing? What is your problem?
I think Heather's body is reacting the same way.
Mm-hmm.
By her face.
Oh yeah.
I took more ibuprofen, but it isn't enough.
I'm sorry.
There's not enough.
I have nothing stronger than ibuprofen to offer you.
It's okay. I'm gonna put some lotions on.
Okay, good plan.
Oh,
But
my phone was recording our conversation.
oh, well then I'm really glad I didn't offer you any like hard drugs or anything.
I didn't post it.
I mean, who knows? Maybe your phone could just post it like all by itself.
That's true.
Sometimes the technology just does things.
Yep.
Okay, so that's my so I did my big ones, I did my little ones, and I'm going to do my dots. So again, when I'm doing the stamping, I'm just going to take my stamp, I'm going to position it, and then when you're doing the dots, if you choose to do that, you actually so it's exactly the opposite of what I said for your design stamps. When you're doing the dots, you want to just tap your centering punch, because if you smack it really hard, you're literally going to punch a hole through your metal, which is not what you want. So
Unless you're punching a hole.
I mean, unless you're trying to punch a hole through your metal, but in this particular instance, we're just trying to make some decorative dots, which means we don't want to pound this all the way through the metal. And the principle here is, I mean, this is just physics. So the more concentrated the piece that you're pounding on is, the less effort you need to put into the pounding in order to have it make an impression. So with your design stamps, they're big, they're spread out, they're very flat. Your centering punch is very pointy and very small, so you don't need to hit it very hard to make an impression. Interestingly enough, if you are doing letters, if you're stamping letters, you need to be careful for this exact same reason with the letter I, because the letter I is very long and straight, and if you just wail on your letter I, you literally can put a hole in your metal, which most of the time is not the plan, especially when you're letter stamping. And then if you're doing something that is going to get curved, like a cuff bracelet or a ring, if you hammer an eye right in the middle too hard, your piece can break when you're trying to bend it. So beware the letter I is what beware the Ides of eyes and March, but only if you're Caesar. Which, by the way, so I'm working on a new course, which you guys are definitely going to wind up being guinea pigs for. But I'm working on a new course for a historical event next year about the history of pearls. Most of you probably know this because I believe I waxed rhapsodic about it for quite a while on one of my previous streams. But I'm just going to keep dropping random tidbits of knowledge. And I don't know if I dropped this one the other night, but Julius Caesar actually passed a law limiting the wearing of pearls to the ruling classes only.
Rude.
And there's also a rather nefarious tale about, I believe it's Caesar's mistress and a pearl.
Oh my. Salacious?
Yes, salacious. Okay. Yes, I'm going to relax my shoulders now.
Put some lidocaine on them.
They're still going to be tense, so unless you have any muscle relaxers hiding in that lidocaine tube, I think I'm good.
Oh, I had some help.
All right, so all my stamping is done. So you can literally stamp anything you want to on this. So I decided, to do my little semicircle pattern. You could stamp words, you could, do all kinds of cool stuff. So now let's go ahead and add a little bit of texture to the edges. And texturing the edges does two things. First of all, it makes them a little bit more interesting. Second of all, it makes them a little bit smoother. So I'm going to take my stamped piece and I'm going to take my chasing hammer. I'm going to use the round side of my chasing hammer and I'm just going to hit the edge. And my goal here is basically going to be to hit half on and half off the edge. And what that's going to do is it's going to make a beveled finish on the edge, but also it's going to make the edge a little bit smoother. Oh no, Keiko, that sucks. Yeah, whenever you finally make the commitment to order food and then the food ordering does not cooperate, it's never good. So I'm just gonna go and bevel all of the edges, and I'm gonna switch away from the hand cam so you guys don't have to watch the earthquake thing that happens. I really need to move my hand cam back onto the stool so it doesn't bounce around when I hammer. Yeah, I was definitely well into hangry when Diane arrived with the blessed Sonic. Because I chose to have a second sleep this morning instead of breakfast. The time change my sleep schedule is so messed up. At least partly because of the time change, partly probably still because of post-COVID fatigue, but I've been falling asleep at 9:30 and waking up at 6:30, which is great, except for the fact that, then by the time I have to go to work at noon, I'm tired again and ready for a nap. I literally, this morning / afternoon, and this is one reason why my hair looks so not great, is because I had second sleep from 11:35 to 11:55. It's I don't even care how I look, as long as I get to work, which I did. So, here's hoping that next week is going to be better. Extra nap, because that's true. Breakfast also sometimes does cause that to happen. Okay, I need a paper towel. I'll be right back. Oh, I got Kleenex. That'll work. Yes, nap definitely won over breakfast and grooming, and I'm wearing clothes, so that's a plus.
And Diane's wearing clothes too.
Yeah.
She is. Everyone was wearing clothes.
Yeah.
We all managed to get dressed today. I think that we deserve, I think we deserve some props for the fact that we all made it to work today and we were all wearing clothes. Okay, so now I'm going to put some black on this to bring out these details. And yes, this is just a Sharpie. It is not anything fancy. And I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm just going to color in all of my stamping. And the thing you want to make sure is, okay, so I don't know if the camera will show you this or not, but you want to make sure that you get, okay, you can kind of see it there, where that's not actually colored all the way to the bottom of the depression. So you really want to make sure that you get the marker all the way down to the bottom. of your stamping. Okay, this is actually an important thing, because if you don't, when we wipe it off in a minute, you're not going to have any color left. And so what we're doing, or what I'm doing right now, is I'm coloring this, and then I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol, and, and I'm going to wipe off the surface, and it's going to leave just the marker that's in my stamping. But the thing is, if I don't get my marker all the way down into my stamping, then I'm just going to wipe it all off, which is not what we want. So take a minute, unleash your inner 3-year-old. You do not have to color within the lines. You can color as messily as you want to. You can see I have, yeah, you can see I have some, you know, serious messiness going here. Alright, and then I'm going to just take some rubbing alcohol on my Kleenex and just wipe the surface of that. And there we go. So now you've got a really nice detailing of all of that stamping. Woohoo! Yay! For Keiko successfully ordering food. Seriously, Diane, though, if you hadn't brought food, I might have actually murdered somebody, so thank you. Thank you for saving whoever I would have murdered. I don't know who it would have been. I doubt it. You're usually the last in line for murdering.
Oh, excellent. Usually. I like that.
Okay, well, it depends on how many meals I've skipped, okay? So you can also do this with ink. You can just take ink and yes, Keiko says, thanks, Diane, for saving the patrons. I mean, and some of those children were like bite-sized. I mean, some of them were totally snack-sized. There was a little sister. She was so wee, and she had like this tiny little pixie cut.
Oh my gosh.
And she was very cute. Though she definitely, at the end of the party, she was officially done with.
Well, once she found out that she couldn't take home that bear.
Yeah, I heard that. That did not go over well.
No. I think she was done anyway. I mean, there was a lot of sugar.
There was a lot of sugar and a lot of stuff that went on.
She was so good, considering.
Yeah. I mean, how old was she? She couldn't have been more than, what, 3?
Yeah.
So I am completely impressed that she lasted as long as she did, as well as she did. Because there was a lot going on. Okay, so now I've got both of my, and I got both of these. So once again, we want them opposing, and this way I believe is up. So now I'm going to actually, oh, look at that. Good job, Allison. Those are completely not the same size. Not even close. This one's a solid 1/8 of an inch taller. Awesome. Okay, so this is a fairly easy problem to fix. We're just going to go ahead and snip that off and then re-texture the top there. Okay, so as far as how to hang these, there's a number of ways you could do it. The easiest way would be to just punch a hole in the top, but that's kind of boring. So we're going to do this. We're actually going to use the bail making pliers to turn a loop out of the top of this, and then we're going to go ahead and do a wire wrapped ear wire. I know. Well, and did you see that her boots and her mom's boots matched?
Oh my gosh, I didn't see
No,
that.
it was so cute.
No.
Yes, they were, I mean, not identical, but they were both wearing knee-high, they were both wearing jeggings, and they were both wearing knee-high brown boots.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, the tiny person's knee-high brown boots were like, you know, this tall,
Yeah.
but super adorable. Mom was a little bit neurotic, but super, super nice.
So nice.
So nice. With a nice with a side of neurotic, which, you know,
And I think
we can deal with
I
that.
think it was all pre-party neurosis because once it started, she was so chill.
Excellent. Okay, so this is where the bail making pliers comes in. And you're going to use a bail making pliers anytime you need to make a long cylindrical or cylindrical adjacent bend in something that's wide. Because if I try and do this with my round nose pliers, it's not going to wind up being a cylinder, it's going to wind up being a cone because my round nose pliers are tapered. So one side of it's going to be much bigger than the other side. This is not what we want. So this is where bail making pliers are going to come in handy. And I'm just going to take my bail making pliers, I'm going to grab at the top of my piece of metal and I'm just going to roll it over. So I'm going to just roll it around my pliers like so until it's gone all the way around. And I went a little too far on that side. See, that's not particularly attractive, so I'm just going to grab a chain nose and I'm just going to straighten that back out. You just want to make sure that it's closed like so. So I need to take this side and just bring that down and in. I'm going to do the same on my other one. Once again, I want them to be opposing, so that means that this is the top of this one. And you don't have to do this. You could totally just punch a hole in it and be done. You don't have to be extra like me. I know, right? This is, so I think I talked a little bit about this on Zoom. So I had a sweet student yesterday who was, okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my ear wires. And I'm doing just a combination wire wrap and ear wire all in one. Again, you don't have to do this. You could do just a wire wrap with a loop and use a regular ear wire as well. But for this, I'm going to use some 20 gauge wire. I've got about 8 inches of 20 gauge wire. It's going to need about 2 or 3, maybe 4 per earring. So I'm going to go ahead and wire wrap this while I'm talking. So I'm going to go through there and I'm going to bend this. But yeah, so I had a really sweet student yesterday who I was teaching how to solder. Or maybe it was Thursday. I can't remember. No, it was Thursday. And she's, you know, and she wants to start a business. Great for her. And she's like, well, how many tools do I really need to buy? How much money do I really need to spend on tools? So I'm going to wrap the short one around the long one. It's like, well, you know, really, you only as much as you want to. But here's the thing about tools is you always wind up with, there's a problem and then there's a tool that solves that problem. And then there's another problem and there's a different tool that solves that problem. And somehow the tools just accumulate, you know. It's like, I can stop buying tools anytime, but why would I want to? Alright, so I wrap the short one around the long one, and what I want is, I want these wraps to be close together, which they're currently not, so I'm going to cheat and just go squish. I'm going to trim this wire off. So, and then I'm just going to press that down so that it's not poking out. Ta-da! And then I'm going to go back to my bail making pliers to make my ear wire. So I'm just going to take my bail making pliers and I'm going to set them right against that wire wrap with the fattest part of the pliers, and I'm just going to bend this over, and that is going to serve as my ear wire. Now, if you want a longer ear wire in the front, you just go up a little bit more. If you want to, you can go ahead and take this and kind of kick it forward, like so. That gives you a bit more of a traditional ear wire shape. And then if you're like me, what I like to do after I trim it is I like to take my chain nose pliers and just make a little kick outward. I just like that as a finish for my earwire, and then you want to make absolutely sure that you hit that end of that earwire with a file or some sandpaper so that it doesn't cut people's ear holes when they're actually putting it on. We're going to skip that because we're already running over time. But yes, I know, Keiko, it's like, you know, well, I could muddle along without this tool, but I could use this tool and then things would be faster and easier. But once again, then it's like, well, you've got that tool, now all of a sudden there's another tool, and then there's another tool, and another tool, and another tool, and another tool, and I can totally stop anytime I want to.
We can quit anytime we want.
Yeah, or something.
Just like my diaper.
Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and wrap that. Like so. And once again, I'm going to trim off the rest of that short wire because I don't need that anymore. I'm going to take this pokey, stabby bit and I'm going to press that down. And then I'm going to use my bail making pliers. Again, I'm going to set them, for me, I'm going to set them right against that wire up, but once again, if you want a longer ear wire in the front, just move them up a little bit. And then just flip that over to make your ear wire. And I'm going to kick that forward a little bit. I guess I have to give it a little bit more of a traditional ear wire shape. And then we do want to, since this is technically a pair of earrings, we do want the ear wires to somewhat match. So I'm just going to hold that one next to each other and cut. Why, thank you, Keiko. That's really sweet. Alright, then we're going to kick that out. And voila! Earrings! Bless you! And also Heather is sneezing out her brains apparently. So that's it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us on this Saturday evening tutorial for our simple stamped earrings. So I mean, really the key in my opinion to making it look professional, it's just practice. It really is. Like, I mean, and the more you practice the techniques, the more you can just kind of jump headfirst into a project and pull it out of your ass, for lack of a better, you know, phrase, because you've got the practice and the experience going into it. But stamping is so much fun and you can use such cool stuff. And I mean, and this is literally like $2 worth of brass. Plus, you know, about $2 worth of gold, and it's a really cool pair of earrings. Like, I took out my earrings that I was wearing earlier because they were heavy, so I think well, apparently I'm going to throw that on the floor, but I think I'm going to go ahead and wear the bronze version of this for tonight's sale. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
So, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us on the Beading Dreams tutorial stream this Saturday evening for our simple stamped earrings. Well, I did 3 weeks. Oh Lord. Anybody who's new on the stream, if you haven't heard the 3 weeks joke, I'll tell you that on the sales stream. But you'll have to come back, Keiko, because that is actually a legitimate inside joke that has to do with the pandemic. But as far as that is actually a legitimate question, like how long have I been doing this? Just so you know, you can have reasonable expectations. I have been professionally in the beading business for 21 years. I got my first, I've been beading since I was a child, but I did not bead well. I got my first beading job after I graduated from college, so that would have been in June of 2001. And so it is now November of 2022. So yeah, 21 years I've been doing this professionally. I do, Keiko, and that, I mean, and that is definitely like still grinds my gears, and and you know, that's a whole other conversation, but the cool thing is, if you are a maker, this is a really great, if you can find people who aren't asinine, this is a really great item with a decent margin, because it's not a lot of invested in materials, and once you get good at it, it's not a ton of time invested in the product. And like that is the thing, if you are a maker and you are selling, is you've got to have those low effort, high margin items to compensate for all of our projects where we just jump into it and spend way too much time on whatever it is, and then we're like, wow, I probably can't sell this for $7,000, so I'm just gonna have to take a hit on this one. And you know, things like this, they help to make up for that. So it is time for me to vacuum the store and get ready for the sale. So we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in 30 minutes. That's around 7:45 with a live merchandise sale. So per request of Keiko and Corvus, we are going to have tiny shinies on the sale, plus 8-inch gemstone strands, plus blue topaz. So give me 30 minutes. I will be back with beads to sell you. So I will see you all. Better see all of you back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in 30 minutes for a sale. All right, see you later. Bye.